We are looking at the site that used to house the Damon silos. They have been completely razed and the site is ready to be cleared for redevelopment. But we're talking about Damon silos built in 1902. Now, as we look at this cleared site, a lot of people looking at this can see those towers still standing. They were so iconic to Interstate 55 and driving into the city. It was impossible not to look over and see those silos sitting abandoned. But now we're seeing what the site looked like in the past, and we are looking at an urban explorer wonderland. Now that these sites are gone, it is just an empty space in the city. We may have to wait who knows how long for redevelopment to see the site used again, but Damon Silos were so iconic to Chicago. Looking at this site, you just can't even believe what will come in the place of those old silos. But we will see development there. MAT Asphalt bought this property, and it is their dream to build new headquarters there. Now, this was Michael Tadden Jr., who has become a pretty unloved person in Chicago because he did not even consider reuse of these buildings, even though there was quite a bit of vocal support from the neighborhood to save these. There were plenty of ideas thrown about ways to reuse them, and a lot of people thought that there was room to save those and build their coming headquarters. The reuse ideas for those silos were numerous. Here's a shot of my old Inspire drone. That was my first drone. So yes, as soon as I got a drone, I came out to document these towers because I just thought they were so cool. And back in the day, I was at the site, walking around, exploring, crawling into the buildings, seeing as much as I could. Now, I never crawled up very high in any of these buildings, but you see that there was a lot of people that got up to those heights to spray all that graffiti. And those buildings that you see on the ground there, they were covered in graffiti as well. And it was just such a urban place to be, and you just could really feel the city when you were here. But these were built in 1902 by the Topeka, Atchison, and Santa Fe Railroad. They originally held 400,000 bushels of grain, making them a powerhouse for Chicago's agricultural trade. A massive dust explosion in 1977 left them unusable, and they sat abandoned, derelict for 50 years, making them such a prized urban exploration site. They are industrial brutalist. They consisted of 15 massive concrete silos, each standing approximately 80 to 100 feet tall. This is located at 2900 South Damen Avenue, as you can see, right on the Chicago River. The head house, the taller tower, was the most recognizable part of the silhouette against the Chicago skyline. And this brought in filming crews like the Terminator's age of extinction in 2013, where it stood in for a Hong Kong factory. Now, if we can see the stages here of demolition, you see that they were not demolished by explosion. They were taken down piece by piece by piece because there were major environmental concerns with dust and then also with vibrations of the site. But they first started removing these at the end of 2025 and they finished up in 2026. Now, that demolition took quite a while because these are constructed with such dense concrete that they take longer to break up. So we're just looking at picture after picture here of the old silos, and they were iconic. I feel like you should be able to see how iconic they were. Now, here's a look with the taller main structure still standing and the smaller one next to it demolished. And it was just so sad coming here to see this because of the erasure of history. But if we wanted to talk more about them, we should look at the 1977 explosion. So there was a grain dust explosion. So grain dust was confined in a concrete space, and grain dust is more explosive than gunpowder. So a literal spark, which is just malfunctioning equipment or an electrical short, can ignite fine dust in the air, and that happened here. And the blast was so violent, it literally ripped through the concrete walls. It didn't just break windows, it shattered the structural integrity of the entire head house, the main tower that is in the middle of demolition in this shot. So they were just made unusable in a flash of a second in 1977, and then they stood here for 50 years, just being completely abandoned and a target of anybody who was brave enough to go to that property and climb into any of the silos. So it is a case of many people looking at this and wondering why we couldn't save these. But this is just how things work. It's amazing how long something can stand abandoned before they finally do something with it. But Chicago was built on grain, but grain is a dangerous business, and it only took a single spark to send these to history. So the site is cleared, and they are a huge loss for the city, but here we are. Thank you for watching.